That's a funny noise.
It sounds like a ruler on at the edge of a table, and then you're like,
It's the doorstop.
oh, okay.
I accidentally hit it.
Those are fun.
Okay.
Hello, and welcome to LISTENiN, a music sharing podcast. Today, we'll be listening to a quirky, bubbly indie pop ditty by a wife and husband duo, a feel-good visit to childhood and freedom with a 4-piece Korean band, like with instruments, with a string surprise, and hear worlds collide on a grandiose twist of art pop, gospel, and R&B. I am Alexis, and sorry for getting political, but I voted Pedro.
I'm Jesse, the mediocre time traveler.
I'm Kay.
And with a scientifically proven method, the songs featured on this show do, in fact, become one of your next favorite songs. And before we get to that, friends, what have we been listening to?
It's been another hellacious work week for me, so I've been falling back on my old standard video game soundtracks, and unfortunately my Cabin in the Woods, my Aerith's Garden, my Aerith's House from Final Fantasy VII was taken down by Square Enix.
Oh, no.
Which is tragic, but I did message the creator of it, Nameless Notes on YouTube, shout out, thank you, who says it will be back up, slightly different version later this month. And so I was watching Nameless Notes' other videos this week while I tried to get through too many hours of work.
I have been stuck on songs that I want to bring to the podcast, so I don't want to talk about them now. But what I do listen to besides that is the podcast Working It Out, which is from Mike Birbiglia, the stand-up comic, and he brings in other comedians, and he does like really weird, quirky interviews with them with fun questions that make you think. They talk shop and they work on material, and it's really fun to listen along while they do that.
What I've been listening to lately has been the Usher Tiny Desk that recently just came out throughout the month of June, which is Black Music Month. Tiny Desk has been only doing tiny desks of Black artists, and on the last day of the month, June 30th, they uploaded Usher's performance, and the audio engineer, the mix engineer, did an amazing job. The band sounds incredible. Usher is backed up by a wonderful horn trio and has some great backup singers as well. The energy is very raw and so velvety. I highly recommend checking out that Tiny Desk.
All right, let's get going. The band I brought today, Mates of State, are an American indie pop wife and husband duo made up of Corey Gardner and Jason Hamill. Corey provides vocals, organ, synthesizer, piano, electric piano, and occasionally guitar and drums. And Jason does vocals, drums, percussion, and occasional synthesizer. A unique aspect of their musical coupledom is that they have 2 daughters, born in 2004 and 2008, who they took with them while they performed on tour. There wasn't a lot of information I could find on them. At the time of recording, they have 64,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. Their website domain is defunct, and I think the last time their history on Wikipedia was updated is around 2011, with an addition of their 2015 EP for their discography, but no details on that album. They do occasionally post on social media, including one that happened very recently. My personal connection to today's song is that I found it in college, which for me was a pretty brutal affair that consisted of 2 or 3 all-nighters a week for almost the entire time I was enrolled. This song was a consistent pick-me-up that I would listen to when I was emotionally spent and exhausted. It gives me a lot of joy, and I hope it does that for you too. Here's My Only Offer by Mates of State.
Bought a home, we bartered right. 2 kissed, 2 card line. Post pictures on the walls. Small talk in the bedroom hall. Build up a wall made out of finer things. Piled it high so we could barely see it. And oh, it's my only offer. Oh, my only offer.
So, did that song make you happy?
It's too short. It's so short. I wanted more, but it's weird because it's like if it's short, but it also feels like it ends like at the right time still. It feels very conclusive, but yeah, I was a bit sad because like the song's so good and I wanted to hear more.
I would have loved like a more of that horn, like a jam with a little bit of a horn, sort of a longer section of it, and then the ending. I think that would have been the perfect length for me. But yeah, I agree. It does feel like it like wraps up, and I feel like if it went too much longer with that same like piano thing, the piano riff that just repeats through the whole thing, it might just kind of like, okay, we get it. But that horn at the end was so nice, and I really wanted more of that horn specifically.
I really love the horn. Although, because they're just a duo, I really wonder how they do that live. Because I don't think horn was listed in any of their instruments. I suppose they could do it with like a synth keyboard, electric piano sort of deal, something similar.
Yeah, that horn definitely stood out to me for sure, and the way it comes in, that it made me think of like the sun is rising, and then it made me think about all the all-nighters that Jesse had, the Jesse lore with this song. I was like, oh no, maybe that horn section probably gives Jesse some memories.
I think it also comes in a way that is not at all jarring. Like if it had come in like a mariachi band or something, he would have been kind of jarred out of the vibe. Like I think I was swaying back and forth the whole time, but it does that nice little crescendo into it. You know, it starts soft and gets louder, and that was a really good way to introduce something new, especially toward the end. I will say it's really effective to make me want to loop it again, and this song feels very loopable.
You know, I have to thank Jesse in advance here, because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have that piano melody stuck in my head for the rest of the day, and that's not a bad thing. Like I really like it. It's really jumpy and bouncy, and I was really liking it.
One of the things that I really enjoy about this song is that they have really contrasting voices. I think together they're greater than the sum of their parts. The two of them contrasting and yet like working so well when they do the harmonies and the unison lines, I think is really pretty to me, and like really adds, I think, like a little bit of edge to the vocals.
I actually really love the way that their voices blend. It was pulling me in just hearing like their style and what they sound like together. I don't know if they have like their own separate projects where you just hear them by themselves.
I haven't listened to 100% of their discography, just like most of it. They do occasionally have Corey, the wife, be like a little more prominent in the mix, but on pretty much all their songs, Jason is also like doing some sort of harmony or unison, but sometimes he'll be like a little lower in the mix compared to this song.
Yeah, I saw that this song was released in 2008. Thinking about like what I was listening to around like 2008, 2009, I am 100% certain like I would have been in love with this band. I was listening to a lot of Tegan and Sarah, a lot of like that era of their discography. I do get a similar sort of like catharsis from the way that Mates of State are using their voices and using their harmonies. And this, I would have been so obsessed with this at the time.
I heard like 50% of what you were saying, but then I started thinking about what I was listening to in 2008. And I can barely remember. That's bad. I definitely am putting this in the sort of meditative songs we've brought to the podcast playlist. It put me in like a bit of a trance, and I almost forgot that I was supposed to be listening to it a little more closely. So if I don't have more to say about it, it's not because I didn't like it or I didn't think there was a lot to talk about. It's because the song was so good that it made me forget that I was supposed to talk about it.
I think though that like either you could do a relaxed listen and just have it kind of passively going on, but if you listen closely, there's also a lot of really fun surprises that go on. The little xylophones coming in, the horns, they're like a little different every time. And even though they have that piano loop and like the structure is very straightforward, there's little things that happen. One thing I really loved was like the very last time they do the stifled copies of myself. It sounded like they had room noise, like it was like big and kind of echoey. And it's just for that one time. And then they end.
I noticed that like they were across the room from the microphone almost singing together is what it sounded like to me.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to listening to it more so that I can catch some more of those little things. And I just love piano forward pop. So this was really cool.
Yeah, and I am going to add this to just the one of the many married duos that Jesse seems to bring to the show, because it seems like he brings an abundance of these.
Fleming and John.
Yeah, whether it's a married duo or a supposed married duo that I have to create a headcanon for. I'm glad that we've got another one of these to add to the collection, and I look forward to the many more married duos that you bring to the show, because these have been a delight.
Many more married duos. That's cute.
Well, if you are interested in listening to more of their music, they do change up the instrumentals and like the styles a little bit. They still have that core of like bubbly, happy pop going on at the center of it. Their 2011 album brings in some like chiptune sounds, but like still with acoustic instruments as like the main focus. And then they like, for their 2015 EP, they dial up the synth a lot, and it sounds, some of the songs on it sound kind of like, I'd liken it to Loverboy's Working for the Weekend or Chesney Fox, The One and Only. There's like big stadium synthy pop rock songs going on, and I really enjoy those too, with their stylings going on. So yeah, check out all their stuff. They are on social medias, and support this little band. Love them.
I'm glad you started us off with something feel good, because like I said, it's been a super busy week and it's been an awful couple of weeks. So I also brought something feel good today for my own sake, really. A little bit selfish, but you benefit too. In last week's recording session, I mentioned some K-bands, so it felt appropriate to bring one of my favorites today. Lucy is an all-male Korean pop band, not K-pop really, but like band with instruments, but they play pop music and they're Korean, that was created from the show Superband in 2019. A quick primer on Superband, because I honestly think it's one of the most brilliant music competition shows ever created. Superband takes musicians of all kinds, existing bands, solo instrumentalists, singers, producers, etc., and allows them to form different combinations of contestants every round. When done well, this gives a really good sense of how each musician might fit into different dynamics, both musically and personally, and create some really cool, really unique stages. For the last 2 rounds, the judges of the show form the final bands based on input from the contestants themselves. Unfortunately, the show isn't readily available translated anywhere, but you can find all of the performances on YouTube, and I highly recommend all of them. They're so fun. Also, Joe Hahn from Linkin Park was on the first season as a judge, and a familiar name to this podcast, The Rose, also competed as an already formed band on the first season. Lucy came second in the show and afterwards signed with the entertainment agency Mystic Story. They stood out in the final rounds partly due to the band's incorporation of a classically trained violinist, our string surprise, and partly due to their bright but impactful pop sound. The band consists of 4 members: Shin Ye-chan, the violinist, also the leader of the band; Shin Gwan-gil, the second vocalist and drummer; Cho Won-sung, the bassist, producer, and third vocalist; and Choi Sang-yup, the lead vocalist and guitarist. Actually, Lucy's current lead vocalist, Sang-yup, is not the original from the show. The original vocalist, Lee Joo-hyuk, sorry for that name pronunciation, chose to stay in his existing band, Gift, after Superband. To fill in, the members recruited Sang-yup, who had been eliminated during the first round of the show, but who the members thought would fit in well with their sound and their dynamic. And I agree with them. He's very versatile and, along with Ye-chan's violin, gives a really distinct tone to their music. Today, we'll listen to Snooze, a song the band actually wrote for the Superband semifinal and then rearranged, re-recorded, and released a new version of in November 2020 as their third single as an official band. I actually couldn't decide what song of theirs to bring today, so I asked the Band Lucy Discord for their help, and it was unanimously this song that they thought would be the best introduction to the group. I've given y'all a link to the English translation, and the music video has English subtitles available. I recommend watching it once. There's no story, but it has a really great vibe. But for the sake of the listeners, in this song, Lucy is encouraging folks who feel worn out and stuck in the daily grind to be free to act a little childlike sometimes. Maybe even snooze your alarm so you can dream a little longer. You're going to hear the drummer, Gwan-gil, sing the first verse before Sang-yup takes the lead. Let's feel our childhood with Lucy's Snooze.
회색 빛으로 물든 사람들의 표정과 힘없는 발걸음 나와 다를 것이 하나 없어
But you don't have to be unalert. We are golden, feel this freedom when you so good through everything. We were golden, feel our childhood. We just want to play with you. 어디로 가는 거야? Feel our childhood. 기다려주지 않아. Feel our childhood. Feel our childhood. 우리는 언제 어른이 됐나 벌어지는 일들에 흘려가는 시간에 익숙잖아 어느새 나도 낮보다 밤을 기다리고 있어 꿈이 없는 잠을 바라며 기대해도 기대줄 곳은 없어 But you don't have to be unalert. We are golden with this freedom when you thought you just want to play with you. 어디로 가는 거야? Feel a childhood. 어디로 가도 좋아. Feel a childhood. Feel a childhood. Feel a childhood.
I don't have a clever comeback. Hi, welcome back.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you not having a clever comeback because, wow, what an experience. I feel like the music can kind of speak for itself here.
Yeah, we're done with this section. We can move on to the next song.
Oh boy. Wow, I gotta collect myself here. Where do I start?
Good, bad, did you like it? How about that? You can start there.
I am feeling so many emotions right now. Spoiler alert, I love this so much. And I think one of the things that stood out to me immediately, like the very moment that I heard it, and was the violin riff that happens very early in the song. It sounded so familiar, the one that's like, that one. And I know I can't think of it right now. It's escaping me. So that degree of familiarity is like bothering me because it's like it sounds so amazing here in this context, but it also is like I wonder if like they're referencing something that I know personally and I'm just not getting it and I'm like upset at myself. It's bringing me like some sort of nostalgia, and maybe that's intentional. Maybe they meant to do this with the whole like idea behind the song. But yeah, that's gonna haunt me for the rest of the day.
I also had like a wow reaction to this. I found it viscerally enjoyable. Like I felt it in my body how pleasing and like amazing this sounded. It's I think something that really contributes to that is this is an amazingly well produced song. The instruments sound like smooth and present, and I can really hear the separation, and goddamn, the musicianship from all of them is like fantastic. And I think something that really, like everything, there's like so much synergy going on that like you wouldn't necessarily think like violin plus like electric bass and drums and other stuff going on would work all the time, but like it 100% works here. And I think another cool thing is that like the vocalist having that higher, breathier tone like really helps him cut through the mix. I've said like of Jacob Collier's All I Need as being like a perfect recording. I would regard this as like a perfect recording. I have no like nothing I can say is like not working for me. Just 100% every second of this song was just like a wow. Okay, maybe 99% because the alarm clock, I understand what it was doing for like the thematics of the lyrics, but like I was like, no, I don't want to wake up.
Yeah.
But you don't. You go back to sleep.
Snooze button, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says time to sleep, and you go back to sleep. You go back into that gorgeous violin solo. My goodness. Yeah, this is like for me the definition of feel good. Like it just is so good. And you're right, they are incredible musicians. I've watched a ton of their live videos, and they're incredible performers too, which is like the double whammy of great. They're super fun to watch. I try to choose songs that feel like if you go look more into the artist, you're not going to be super surprised by what you find based on what you heard on the podcast. And I think that this is a really good representation of their sound, of just this like bright and almost cinematic sound with the violin and with the just everything. I love it so much.
That like instrumental break that happens at the bridge near the end of the song, that part like blew me away. Like it was incredible. It kind of just like comes out of nowhere. Like it gives you like no anticipation. It's not like it's calling back to a motif that was like teased earlier and then expanded on. Like that break happens and it happens. It hits you really hard. And when that part finished, like I just wanted to like give a handshake and a shout out to the Lucy Discord for, you know, choosing this song. Like thanks to them, because wow, like that was an incredible moment.
I also really loved that bridge, the instrumental bridge. The swelling and like the epic nature of it. It just sounds like so dramatic, and it hits really hard. And it makes you feel like all these emotions as it's happening.
Yeah.
Really great, really great. I think another thing that I really enjoy is like there's all these little like fun surprises happening in the song too. Like there's these like plucked staccato string moments, and then there's this like weird warble, and even the expression in the violin is just like so dynamic. Like the way that he would end the phrases sometimes with the violin, like reminded me a lot of like 1970s symphonic disco. It works so well. There's so many things about this song, things that you wouldn't think of working together, and they totally do. Which raises the question, given that this is such an amazing song, how did they lose? How did they get second?
That show just has so many amazing musicians on it. Just like they were very well matched, I guess, in their peers with just how skilled and talented and I don't know. I don't have words, honestly. I mean, they do a lot of things incredibly well, but one thing that I haven't seen other groups do as well is really work that violin as part of the band, not as like a featured instrument or as something that feels like a novelty.
I did watch the video afterwards, which is, by the way, also an incredible thing to check out for sure. So if you enjoy the song, I also would say check out the video because it's wonderfully shot. A lot of like gorgeous locations, and I think, but also like just seeing the band that are, you know, making these moments, these musical moments, seeing them, you know, play it out in the music video is really cool too. I was paying a lot of attention in particular to one song. The bassist, he is like just going off the entire video. He is really, really having a great time playing the bass, and it was a treat just to, you know, watch him do his thing. I don't know why, but like while I can definitely relate to that feeling that, you know, it's being described in the lyrics where it's like, you know, adulthood is kind of being portrayed like we're in like this gray time of our lives. I think it does a great job to, you know, give us that feeling of like it's so different from like when we were children and things like that. But then it also makes me feel like, is that the reputation that we have as adults where life is kind of like this gray blob?
I'm glad you brought that up, actually. In one of their live performances, when they were talking about the song, they said that first line, they're comparing it to living in the city where there are lots of tall concrete buildings and everything just feels gray around you. Waking up, going to work every day, hardly seeing any nature, not getting to have any fun kind of situation. I think that this song, while it's trying to sort of evoke childhood, it's not necessarily meant to be like, you're an adult now, you can't have fun. It's actually saying, you're an adult now, you can still have fun. Remember those times in your childhood when you were carefree, when you thought you could do anything, when you were chasing your dreams. Now go do that as an adult. Like, encourage you to go and have fun and be childlike.
Good. I'm glad that that's the takeaway.
Well, I could gush about Lucy for no fewer than 5 hours, but I will hold myself back because we have another song to get to. But if you want to dig more into Lucy and are on Spotify, I have a complete chronological discography playlist built just for you. Well, actually, I built it for myself, but I do keep it updated and it is available publicly. I don't get anything for people following it, but it's a lot of work to do, so I encourage you to go check it out. It is just called Lucy, Lucy, open parentheses, complete, end parentheses. I will also link it in the description. But there are a ton of gems in their discography. If you like this song, I think you'll definitely find some others that you like. I really love their full album right before this called Panorama. I think it was a full album. Go feel your childhood and snooze your alarms. Where are we going next, Alexis?
The artist that I am sharing today is Baltimore, Maryland native Serpent with Feet. Serpent himself shared some thoughts on R&B, which he said, "When I think about R&B, I think about a beautiful, rich tapestry. I think about a quilt of sound, and no one is doing the same thing." I find this to be a very accurate viewpoint of the state of R&B and very fitting for Serpent's music as well, as there are several very distinct features and colors that make the patchwork of his own unique section of that quilt. Quite noticeably, we can hear Serpent as an extremely deft vocalist, and Serpent will be the first to remind you that the foundation of his voice within this quilt of R&B didn't come from the genre, and instead that title falls primarily to gospel. Serpent admitting that, "I know church music better than anything else. That will always be my natural cadence." Serpent was a choir boy growing up in his church, performed and competed in classical chorale music for Baltimore City College Choir, and even had his eyes set on a classical career at one point. It is at this beautiful and rapturous intersection of gospel and R&B that Serpent's music lies, and from it rose two albums, very disparate in their affirmations of love. His debut, Soil, navigated wounds, whereas his recent sophomore album, Deacon, is warmer and more tender. It's Serpent expressing passionately, "I celebrate that I can love and that I have been loved." We'll be listening to the former, which Serpent described the battles he's had with his own self-doubt and spirituality alongside love, going on to say, "A lot of what I've explored in my work is trying to figure out how I can legitimize myself, how I can validate my feelings, and that hasn't always been easy." Serpent tackles these emotions through his experimental pop approach, with his recognizable vocal tone and hypnotic vibrato weaving through avant-garde R&B and gospel soundscapes, all while surrounding it with touches of jazz harmonies and classical motifs. This ethereal journey he takes us on, Soil, lays the foundation for Serpent to bring forth experiences that portray the complexities of gay love, and Serpent summarizes the compulsion and urgency he feels to create art in the way he does, saying, "I want to be an incredible facilitator. I won't say storyteller because I want the audience to participate with me. I want people to feel part of the process, and I want people to feel like the thing that they are witnessing is alive. I want to make work that people feel a part of, that people feel like Serpent needed me here. Like, if I didn't listen to this album, it wouldn't exist. I want everyone to feel like it's theirs, which is a very particular art form. I don't know if I accomplished that, but it is something that I am in pursuit of." Without further ado, we have a song from Serpent with Feet that has slithered here, or maybe sauntered in this case, and I am so excited that the album does exist and we can share this moment to listen to it together. Let's listen to how Serpent merges these beautiful worlds together in the song Bless Your Heart. Enjoy.
When I give these books away, will my ink betray me? Will my stories resist wings and grow feet and convince men that I'm boasting? Or will my psalms seek the company of lonely breaths? Will they inspire sudden lovers to kiss with mouths they don't have yet? Boy, whoever reads about how much I adore you, I hope my words bring them something new, something new. child, bless your heart. Keep a tender heart. With you, I can empty myself of all my rivers and become a remarkable sky. How could I keep these love documents to myself? How could I restrict what's given me life? Today I'll find a kind and burrowing creature that can carry these pages into the ground. He'll recite the details of your love with his family. And what was once a whisper will become a deep rumbling sound. Oh, child, bless your heart. Keep a tender heart. I'll keep a tender heart.
Okay, who has the courage to share their thoughts boldly?
I can share them italicized. I really love this. This is a treat. There's so many good things about this song.
Ooh.
Yeah. Just like from the very beginning, there's that sort of like drone sound and the footsteps, and you know immediately, like, this is going to be something different. This is not going to be your run-of-the-mill R&B or pop, or like there's a lot of genres going on in this song, but it hits different for sure. And something I really loved was the way it starts small and intimate, but like at the same time with those like thumping sounds going on in the background, I was almost imagining that he was standing in the middle of this huge empty black void with like a light on him and just like him singing. And then when the chorus happens and it swells and it becomes like huge and filled with sound, it was just an experience. It was great.
Okay.
Chords, man.
What's that?
There are a lot of chords.
Oh, yeah.
Just like rich, beautiful, gorgeous chords and harmonies. And when that repeated heart with the sort of melisma on it, I mean, not like a bass one, you know what I mean? It just so beautiful and like overwhelmingly has all my favorite chords in it, honestly. So a win for me, for sure. Also just loving the instrumentation. For me, Serpent sort of became very much a part of the song. I like kind of forgot to listen to what he was saying, which is just probably okay, right? Like that is a way to listen to things. But his voice with that fast vibrato became another like cool instrument trilling in the background. There was a clarinet at one point, which was cool. I think we pulled an organ at one point. I loved the instrumentation and the chord choices and the harmony in the song so much.
Although I have to maybe disagree with you a little bit that it's okay to not, hear the lyrics, because I found the poetry of the lyrics to be really good and like really satisfying. A particular line that I liked was, "Today I'll find a kind of burrowing creature that can carry these pages into the ground." What a vivid image. It's clearly like very strong metaphor going on, but so interesting and detailed and different. Speaking to the lyrics,
That's why you're the words person.
words is I does them. I have an
Artists.
education in those words is.
I have an education in chords actually, so this is suiting us well.
Yes. I just want to touch on like the content of the lyrics as well. Is this about like him being open about a gay relationship?
I think so. Like, I think it's a song that is Serpent talking about the kind of relationships that he's had throughout, his life, and what kind of impact they have in terms of like his personal growth and his romantic growth. So that's the way I look at it.
I'm raising my hand. You can't see it.
We can see it. Go ahead.
I read it the way Jesse's proposing, but in that first verse, I read it as him talking about, like, if I am open with my own relationships and my own queerness, then am I being seen for that? And is it inspiring other people to also be open with their queerness? I definitely read it, though, about not just about his own queer relationships, but about the way that his queer relationships are impacting other queer people around him.
With the sum of all of these things going on in the song, like the structure, the chords, the different sounds, the lyrics, like this is a brilliant, like very intelligent person making this song. Like that is very clear to me. I definitely want to experience more of that genius. Check out the rest of his music.
Yeah, the line that you pointed out, Jesse, is a line that I particularly like too, because I think it's a beautiful line in and of itself. Today I'll find a kind and burrowing creature that can carry these pages into the ground. And I also really like that line because it also kind of like encapsulates and reinforces the idea of the album title, which is Soil. It almost feels like the album from beginning to end is trying to provide a ground for these thoughts and emotions and experiences to be burrowed into.
Chords, man.
Chords.
I'm not over the chords. The chords are so good. This song sort of is an extension of the feeling of that instrumental break in Snooze, in Lucy's Snooze that we were talking about, of those like big swelling violin and all of these chords, man. It gives me a similar feeling of sort of like satisfaction and also that like overwhelming feeling of something just being so pretty you don't know what to do with yourself anymore. We didn't talk about his voice, and I feel like that's wrong, actually. I feel like we need to, because it was really interesting. You said gospel, and this was not what I was expecting when you said gospel. Like, I definitely heard some gospel elements to the music, but that like super pointed fast vibrato gave such an interesting tone to this song.
Yeah, I found the vibrato to be like really important for, I think, the emotional content and feeling of the song, that like it sounds kind of fragile and vulnerable.
I absolutely love Serpent's voice and the way he makes these emotional moments come to life with it. And for this album in particular was a big change for his vocals. He said that it was very important for him to have the vocals mixed in the front and to not have them eclipsed behind the production. He felt like this album was his time to be loud. A little fun fact here for me is the song is 4 minutes and 24 seconds, and I was born at 4:24 a.m. So I was like, whoa, 4:24, crazy. So there's your fun fact for the day.
That was way more off topic than I expected it to be.
Yeah.
Also off topic that will be cut from the episode is I was born at 8:11 a.m. and my mom will every once in a while call me out of nowhere and be like, it's 8:11, and I'm like, I'm doing things, but okay, thank you.
That's so cute.
That's pretty cute. I won't cut that.
Well, if you enjoyed what you've heard on Bless Your Heart, I recommend checking out more Serpent's music. And a great place to start would be the song For Tethers. It's a heart-wrenching dirge that is more on the dark experimental side of things. Or if you are feeling more upbeat and bright, I would say check out the video for the song Same Size Shoes. It's a very fun bop. Check those out. We made it to another end of an episode.
To start out with something that put you in a good mood, and then move into something that kept you in a good mood but also made you feel feelings, and then like kind of go into somewhere where you're feeling feelings. That's a good progression. I think
I agree.
it's a good progression. Distract and then process. I like it.
My dog needs some processing right now.
As always, all of the social media links, hi dog, for the artists we've shared today are in the descriptions. Please check them out. Tell them how amazing they are. And also, our social media links are in the description. Please tell us literally anything. You don't even have to tell us how amazing we are. We just like to talk to people. And if you like this episode, maybe share it with a friend, and definitely check out other music from the artists on here, and check out other us for more great music.
Yeah. Tell us how your day went.
Thanks for listening.
What you had for breakfast. What you listened to.
Did you also have an awful week?
Yeah.
Did you cry at the Lucy violin solo? Chords.
Words.
Lucy, I'm home.
Lucy, you got some explaining to do.
I meant to make an I Love Lucy joke and I forgot, which was kind of tragic, but thanks for doing it for me.
You're welcome.
Thanks for listening.